Hey everyone, it's Time Spiraled. I'm back once more, but you may notice something a little different here. We have a very different card back staring at you on the right of the screen here. You might notice it says Revolution Custom Standard. That's right, I decided that today I'm going to spend a little time looking into our sister format today. Um, I haven't had a chance really to look at a lot of the cards in the format. I will be 100% transparent about that. This is going to be as much of a discovery about the cards that this format is playing as all of you. So hopefully, Revolution players, you get a kick out of watching me figure out how these decks are working, and anybody else who's new to the format can discover along with me. So I figure that might be something pretty interesting. We've got Filthy Casual here against Phoenix Star. Good luck to both our players. It's going to be a best of three like always. So let's see what we have. Over on Phoenix Stars, we've got, I'm seeing quite a few cards from Cliques, which is one of the new sets added to the format as of today. And I'm seeing a few here in Filthy Casual's hand as well, which is perfectly normal. I mean, it's Revolution Custom Standard. There are a lot fewer sets. I believe there's 7 at a time. So in that sense, it's normal that we see cards from, the sets that just came in. So let's get on this little journey together. Let's start looking over here at Phoenix Star's hand. Then we'll do the same thing with Filthy Casuals, and I'll do some commentary on the field as we go. So redeveloped Cityscape. Tap, sack, exile a card from your hand. You get 2 basic land cards. One goes into play tapped, one goes into your hand. Seems like a really good way to fix your colors, as long as you're willing to, get rid of a card in your hand. We've got Demographer? I think it's Demographer. It's a blue for a 0/2. When it enters, you draw a card, then you discard a card, and when you discard a non-land card, you get to make a pledge. So in Cliques, there are these clique enchantment tokens, and I believe it's 3 per color. So for example, it's Bureau, Laboratories, Arsenal for blue. Yeah, so you get one of those, and then it has a 2 tap, draw a card, discard a card. When you discard an online card this way, you still make a pledge. So it seems like a very easy way to get those pledge enchantment tokens on the field. We've got Omen of Deception here. It's a flash that counters, it's a quench essentially, and then there's a 3 mana sacrifice to get a scry 2. Omen of Slaughter, I'm assuming, is going to be very similar. Yeah, sack a creature, a planeswalker, then it scries 2. And then we've got 2 copies of Banish to the Isle, which makes reading this hand a lot easier. It's a 3 mana. When it enters, exile up to 1 target non-land permanent you don't control until Banish leaves the battlefield. You gain 3 life. Quite neat. I like it a lot. Filthy Casual over here is playing Tree of Clues. It seems to be a tapped Triland. It has a really cool, I want to say it's prismatic mana. Somebody in Revolution can correct me if that's not true. You need to spend different colors of mana on each symbol. I think it's very cool. So prismatic 4 times, discard to give something +3/+3 and flying until end of turn. And here is another one of these tries. This is the Naya one, so Studio Excelsior. This one gives +2/+2 until end of turn and can't be blocked this turn. So we ran out an Eidolon of Empty Thoughts. It's a 1/1 for red. When it dies, you get a treasure token, and you can pay 6 to create a 2 red soldier creature token. You can only activate it as a sorcery, and only if your devotion to red is 3 or more. That's a very interesting little common. I quite like it here. We also didn't get a chance to look at 100-Handed Pillars, but there it is. It's a tapped white-blue creature land. If you pay 8, it becomes a 4/6 white and blue giant with Vigilance. It's still a land. It costs X less to activate, but X is your devotion to white and blue. So you can probably get that down quite a bit cheaply. I'm unfortunately not seeing the Laboratories clique, so I don't know if that's... Yeah, it's blank for me as well. So we'll have to go and get a look into that real quick. I wonder if I go over here into deck and go... Maybe I did it wrong. Click. I wonder if my token scripts are just not there. We'll figure it out later. It's fine. Oh, okay. There we go. It's loaded. So I see this one. So it's a green, white, and blue enchantment token. It's got pledge 4. You tap up to 1 target untapped creature. You can put a +1/+1 counter on it. Activate only as a sorcery unless you're making a pledge. So thank you for checking in, Phoenix. I really appreciate that. I would have figured out a way to go and see it. I guess it doesn't actually have clique in the thing, but if I do Sillaman, and I think it's with a double, which is why I wasn't seeing it, I can always pull him up here. So So actually, if I just do CNY, we should be able to see all 5 of them. Cool. So I'll keep these on hand just in case at a later date. All right, let's keep checking out these hands here, see what's being drawn. The Cunning Stone is here. It's a 4-mana legendary artifact. If you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, instead you can put a card you own from outside the game into your hand, and then tap, draw 2 cards, discard a card. Very neat legendary artifact. Let's keep going, checking out Filthy Casual's hand here. Unhallowed Voyage, 4 mana that can search your library for a card. It's got flashback, 1 black, discard a card, sack a creature. So very interesting, a Diabolic Tutor here. We've got one of the Sprawl lands, so they enter tapped, but tap, discard another card named Korgan Sprawl. You get to draw a card. I quite like that, actually. Over here, we've got the Eidolon went in for combat, but got blocked with the 0/2. So very nice. We've got 2 copies of Dante's Inferno here. It's a 4 mana, deals 4 damage to any target. You get a number of tapped treasure tokens equal to the amount of excess damage dealt. And you can pay X, exile it from your graveyard. Each opponent loses X life, you gain X life, but you can only use mana from artifact sources, like treasures. So, no surprise here. We have Disc Flipper as well. This is a 3 mana 3/2. Whenever another artifact you control enters, you can tap or untap target creature. Which brings us to this last one. My gosh, I don't even know how to pronounce that. Gubernatorial Fundraiser. Let's figure out together. It's a 2 mana 1/1. When it enters, you get a tap treasure token, then you make a pledge. So the interesting thing about the making a pledge is if you create a clique, but if you already controlled a clique, you get to activate the pledge without paying the cost. So in this case, whenever you make a pledge, if you already have Vishanki Incorporated, for example, you can just make a treasure token. I mean, you can always go get one of the other I don't create any red clique. If you already control a clique, instead activate its pledge without paying its cost. Okay, so this is the one that you've picked. I don't believe you can go swapping around. If you already control a clique, instead activate it. Yeah, okay, there we go. So it's Silaman versus Vishanki. So not surprising to see treasure. I love how it's just big gold bars. That's exactly how I would want it. We drew Black Tie Gala. It's black, red, green. Creatures you control have tap, create a treasure token, and then you can pay white, blue, black, red, green, sacrifice it, draw 2 cards. Funnily enough, for those of you who don't know, Cliques of Nylin actually has 2 videos on our on this channel. We did a designer draft videos, and I believe we did 2 of them. So if the set interests you, you can go and check those out. I will say the videos on that set are likely going to be a little out of date. They were done before the set entered the format, so just something to keep in mind. All right, back to the gameplay. What do we got going on here? Gates of the Underworld looks to be another one of these devotion creature lands. This one's a 3/4 lifelink. Ifara Hero Maker in hand as an indestructible 4/4 for 3. Same text, devotion to white and blue has to be more than 7. Has to be 7 or more to get into a creature form. And whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you get to draw a card. So no surprise that there's all these enchantments here. All right, so we've got Dante's Inferno being cast here using the treasure, I believe. So that's 4 damage to Demographer, but Omen of Deception is going to be cast. I'm going to counter it. There's not enough mana to pay the 2, and then that's just going to lie around on the battlefield here, keeping the Demographer alive to be able to use the loot effect, which does what again? It taps, and then you may put a counter on it. So you can always grow your own things, or you can tap your opponent things. Considering it's white, blue, green, I guess it's a little odd in green, but like not the worst. Something to keep in mind. All right, so we finally cracked the redeveloped cityscape, exiled the 2nd copy of Demographer, picked up an island on the battlefield, and the swamp went to hand. That's actually a really interesting land cycle here. I wonder if all 5 of them we're going to have to find out together later. All right, so 4 mana, Cunning Stone coming out. Tap, draw 2, then discard is very nice to have on an artifact, especially a repeatable one. Also drew Ifara's Judgment as a 3 mana, I believe it's a counterspell. Yeah, so choose one if your devotion to white is 3 or greater. You can choose another. Same is true for devotion to blue. So it's counterspell, draw a card, gain 4 life. So right now we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 blue, 3 blue, and 1 white. So we've already got the blue online for Ifara's Judgment. Of course, we're tapped out for now. So Drew into an abandoned warehouse. Seems to be the black-green version of Corgan Sprawl. I think it's kind of neat that you can convert uh, future copies of these lands. Very cool. Big fan. What's nice is that I don't know if it's on purpose, but Revolution has a very techno theme going on, I would say, between what do we got? Cliques. We've got Cliques, we've got Cyberos Invasion, and we've got Hyperpop, I believe, are all still in the format. So I think it might be 6 sets, not 7, because I believe Blood Like Rivers just rotated out. But yeah, between Hyperpop, Cyberos, and Cliques, you kind of have a very modern, futuristic thing going on, and then Awakening and Uldun, Theros, and Duelist of Vero kind of give it an older bent. That's nice. Nice little thematic theme going on here. All right, so Black Tie Gala coming out. All your creatures can now tap to make treasure tokens, which is kind of neat. I'm going to activate the Cunning Stone on end step, get that value in. So drawing 2, going to pitch a card. Nice to see Pool of Light also seeing play here in this format. We have those in MSCM. So we've shared some sets. We've shared some cards occasionally. Yeah, it's nice. And I think the art on this one is like absolutely fantastic. It looks like a Duelist of Vero reprint. Yeah. All right, we drew a Storm Scraper of Ketaphos. I've actually never seen this card before. This is really cool. Well, it's coming out. It's a 5-mana 5/5 flying with Ward X, where X is the number of enchantments you control. Seems like exactly the kind of stuff you want to have in an enchantment-heavy deck. You know, we're already, I believe, at like 3 enchantments. And whenever it deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, you get to create a token that's a copy of another target enchantment you control. So thankfully, not itself, unless you somehow find a second copy. But we know that there's going to be some nice enchantments in hand, like Banish to the Isle, or not that you would want to make, I guess, copies of Ifara, but you could. I don't recommend it. Yeah, very kind of players to allow the treasure making at end step here. So tapping Eidolon, tapping Gubernatorial Fundraiser, 2 treasures. That's some pretty solid ramp here, honestly, for an uncommon. Wow. Very impressed. All right, so Disc Flipper coming out. Now that it's out, whenever another artifact enters, you can tap or untap target creature, which I believe just means that you can tap these, make infinite treasures, right? Yeah. That's what I would read it, right? I'm surprised this is a... well, I mean, I don't know. It's the kind of thing that you notice and go, maybe that should change. So, because like you tap, make a treasure, and then it untaps a creature. Yep, there you go. Yeah, so you can have infinite treasures, and then that means with Dante's Inferno, you cast it, and then when it's in the graveyard, X is 1,000,000 or whatever, and then I believe that'll kill Phoenix Star, right? All right, so 1,000,000 treasures. Filthy Casual is now a millionaire. I'm glad we could all be there to witness this. Dante's Inferno is going to deal 4 damage. And then, obviously, it's just going to pay 1,000,000 from the graveyard. And as Filthy puts it, I commit kill. So, yeah, I think we're on the tap out here. Yeah. So that's a game 1 with a neat little combo there. We'll see how game 2 goes. So like I said many times before, I can't check sideboards in League, so you know what we're going to do? I was waiting for this moment. We're actually going to go over here and check out the other cliques so we can all get a look at them. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so Penwrath Insurgency is up to 1 target creature gets +2/+2. Vishanki, we already saw, makes a treasure. Hazak Arsenal makes a 2/2 colorless minion with Decayed. Tyrell Bureau is Surveil 2, and Silliman Laboratories is tap up to 1 target untapped creature. You may put a +1/+1 counter on it. I want to see what that minion looks like. Nice. Very cool. Was it a colorless one? Yes, it was. Very neat. Okay, our players are still checking out their decks. I guess we can check out the those basics. I've been keeping an eye on them. These 5 basics are absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it's interesting that there's like such a different art style, but like they all fit. I I wish there was just a cycle that was like the plains and the mountain style, like very like flat. But I mean, we'll take it. Full art, it's full art, and that's really gorgeous. What else do we have here that's interesting in these tokens? We see to have that treasure we were talking about. We've got soldiers, we've got robots, minions, berserkers, equipment, which is different from weapons. Apparently, there is a perfect life form called Chanarix hanging around. It would be interesting to go and find out what creates that card, and as well as Sentry of the New World, which seems to be an all-color robot. So some really cool stuff lying around. All right, so to no surprise, Phoenix Star is going to be on the play here. Seeing a few different cards. We're seeing Feast of Whispered Knives. I remember someone was talking about it earlier. It's got Indulgence, 1 and a black. You indulge at the beginning of your end step if you've gained 3 or more life and or drew 2 or more cards this turn. And whenever you indulge, you get to pick one. You scry 2, each opponent loses 2 life. You get a tap 2/1 black rogue with Menace, or target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. So lots of lovely little things here. So things that we've seen, I think the rest is nice. I think you're all noticing what I'm seeing. We've got 1 land here. I'm assuming we're going to see some, I would imagine a mulligan, right? A few mulligans going on Filthy Casual side here. Key 5s here seems pretty nice between Black Tie, Disc Flipper, Fundraiser. Like, that's kind of what got you the win in the last time. I mean, I guess you maybe put back Unhallowed Voyage, and you do need the 3rd land, so we'll see what ends up being chosen here. All right, so what's nice, I'm guessing, about Redeveloped Cityscape is if you're really tight on that land, you can sacrifice it and exile any card in your hand, and you'll get a basic into hand. So, and if you're fine going on 2, because that gives you access to what? Your 2 feasts as well as Omen. Yeah, maybe it is just the right card. So, Cityscape going out, we're going to exile, I would imagine, the big 5-drop. Island on the battlefield tapped. We're going to go find another basic in hand. Look at me mumbling my words today. In hand, and then on our turn, we can play that swamp. A lot of respect for Redeveloped Cityscape. It looks very neat. It's the kind of card that lets you go a little more flexible on these opening hands here. So Feast of Whispered Knives coming right out. I've actually used this art on a card in MSCM called Social Graces, and it's funny how I focus more on the guy, and this is clearly showing the fact that, everyone's got daggers and is about to, end this poor dude's life. So it's nice to see different interpretations. All right, so Studio Excelsior was played this time around. Tree of Clues is coming in tapped, but not playing anything here without the mana. Yeah, we threw back the gubernatorial. So it's going to have to be Disc Flipper and Black Tie Gala holding down the fort. One of the things you can do, obviously, is make like 2 million treasures and then sacrifice Black Tie to draw cards. Oh, so yes, that answers my question. That mountain means that it is a full cycle. That's very impressive. I love that. Invasion of Privacy here. 1 black sorcery, target player reveals their hand. You can pick a non-land card from it, exile it. Each player draws a card and loses 1 life. So, interesting. I mean, you're not putting them down on cards, you're just denying them a specific thing. So, yeah. Cool card. Anything new here? Nope, these are all cards we've seen before. Banish, Ephara, Judgment, Feast, and... Okay, so Invasion of Privacy coming. We're not invading anyone's privacy. We're going to Omen of Deception instead. Probably some cards here you'd very much like to keep. Remember that you need to draw 2 or more cards or gain 3 or more life, which, is going to happen more often with Ephara as well as the Cunning Stone, if we can get that. In fact, I believe the Cunning Stone by itself triggers it. Ephara triggers it on a card. We drew Illustrious Shengfa. This is a lot of text on a wall. It's not that bad, actually. It's a 6 mana for a 4 loyalty. When you cast a spell, target player skips their next combat phase. That's a cool line, especially on the cast and not on an enter the battlefield. The +1 is you get a 3/1 white knight creature token with, as long as it's your turn, it's indestructible. That is pretty hard to kill. And has a pretty solid token to make on a +1. 0 is exile a permanent card from your graveyard. You bring it back to the battlefield at the beginning of your next turn's end step. And then -3, beginning of your next turn's end step, destroy all creatures. So all 3 modes here seem really solid. And hey, there's that planes for the basic. So Andre Caesar, artist, I quite like it. Looking good. But yeah, Illustrious Shangfa got binned, I believe, by the redeveloped Cityscape. So it's nice that it's a safety valve that you exile the card from your yard and not discard it, because I could see some decks absolutely abusing that to pitch a Reanimator target to the yard and then picking up the lands you need. So smart play to have these be exiled. Okay, we're tapping for 3. I'm assuming that's going to be the Disc Flipper first. You definitely want that on the field before the Black Tie Gala, because as soon as you drop that, you want to be able to just absolutely pop off. There is a Banish to the Isles, and I guess Feast of Whispered Knives, giving things -2/-2 could also do the trick, but Banish it is. So draw a card on Afara. Banish is, I'm assuming, going to get that Disc Flipper out, and then you gain 3 life, and because you've gained 3 life and you've drawn, you've triggered Indulgence. All right. Well, we're not going to be giving a creature -2/-2, but we are going to be able to get, I'm assuming, the Scry 2, each opponent loses 2 life. Oh, and of course, we're just casting the other one. So we're going to get the double triggers. If I were here, just going to cycle all these Feast of Whispered Knives, making them all cantripping. I love the oh dear, afraid so. All right, so tapped Rogue with Menace, tapped Rogue with Menace. Yep. I like the art on this token. It's quite nice. Drew into another Illustrious Shangfa. We're at 5 mana. We're getting pretty close to being able to play it. Now the question is, I mean, here's the thing. You just cast any enchantment or you draw a card, and then the -2s can take care of the Disc Flipper, so it's still risky to run them out. All right, cycled an Abandoned Warehouse from hand, but drew another land. Okay, running out Disc Flipper number 2. Interesting combo. I mean, I hope, again, it's like a 4 mana, right? You need 4 colors of mana. You need the white, and then you need black, red, green. It's probably not happening before turn 3, turn 4, so there's safety valves that I can see here. I mean, yeah, if you have a way of getting a few extra mana, I do believe the format has a very strict no one mana ramp, so you won't see anything like a Mana Dork, so probably a little safer. All right, pass the turn over, attacked, chipped in some damage. I mean, you've got 2 Afara's Judgment in hand. Your opponent casts Black Tie Gala. That's just not resolving. Acid Hydra is a new one. Love the art on this card. It's X green, enters with X +1/+1 counters on it. It has a drop. Acid drop. I love it. When it enters, you search your library for a creature card with mana value X or less, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Return that creature to your hand unless you didn't cast any creature spells during your last turn. Neat. It's one of these, I'm guessing, if you have infinite mana, you can also turn this into an infinitely large Acid Hydra. And you can get any creature card with mana value X or less, right? So, okay, playing out the mountain. Big Acid Hydra is going to eat the counterspell, I would assume, and I believe we are up to 1, 2, 3. Do we have the double? Do we have the blue? I don't believe we have the blue yet. So, yeah, counter and draw seems to make a lot of sense. You're already at 23 life. I don't believe you need the extra stuff, so. Pulled a Beauclair's Scorn. That's a new one as well for me. 2 in a blue, you counter a non-creature spell, and then you search its controller's graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with the same name as that spell and exile them. That player shuffles, then draws a card for each card exiled from their hand this way. All right. Chipped in again. Black Rogue's putting in a little bit of work. Interesting. Yep. Okay. Just slow rolling. I mean, when you've got counterspells aplenty in hand and you're trying to get up to something big, like you can just control the board, right? I mean, the disc flipper is there, but you can get rid of whatever is going to be cast, like Black Tie Gala. At least Indulgence is your end step, so not each player's end step. Cycling another abandoned warehouse. This is very neat. I'm actually a big fan of this cycle. It's quite neat. All right, what do we got coming out here? Is it going to be the Black Tie Gala? Yeah, I'm assuming that's just going to immediately get a Pharaoh's Judgment. Or, no, of course, sorry. We got Beauclair's Scorn now. We can get rid of Black Tie Gala and all future Black Tie Galas. So, okay, well, okay, that's going to pull a concession because that was enough. Which puts us at 1-1, I believe, which means we're going to have a game 3. So that's really cool. All right, we'll see if any changes are going to happen to the sideboard. Because we have a few seconds, I really want to figure out what makes Chanarix. So, all right, Severin's Masterwork. It's 4 mana, legendary enchantment. Beginning of your end step, you put a +1/+1 counter on each tapped creature you control. Neat. And then green, white, blue. Remove 5 counters from among creatures you control. Sacrifice the Masterwork. You get Chanarix Perfect Life Form. Cool. Very cool card. I don't remember seeing that when we were doing the draft, so I'm happy to finally learn what makes that. Let's check real quick what makes Century of the New World. Century of the New. The Quindril Accords. Man, these cards are just so cool. Do we have time? Yes, we do. The Quindril Accords is a white, blue, black, red, green legendary clique enchantment. All right, so you can just straight up drop it. When it enters, you make a pledge, and it's got itself pledge. 1, 2, 3. It's like a huge amount. 8 mana. You get a 5/5 robot named Century of the New World. It's all colors. You look at the top 5 cards of your library. One of them goes into your hand, the rest into your graveyard, and it's got the pledge thing. Wow, that's really cool. And seems to be the wrap up to the story spotlight. So very cool. All right, I hope you've liked that little intermission. Let's check back on here. What do we have? We've got Flooded Morass, Evolving Wilds, Omen. That one's a new card. We'll get back to you in a second. Demographer up here. Bunch of lands, Dante's Inferno, Voyage, Invasion of Privacy. So cards that we've seen before. So we haven't seen Thovius. It's a 4 mana walker. When he dies, put him into his owner's library, 3rd from the top. So this guy just keeps coming back. Beginning of your next upkeep, you draw a card. So a slow draw. -3 at the beginning of target opponent's next end step. That player sacrifices 2 creatures. And -8 when you next cast a Thovius spell, take 2 extra turns after this one. That is very neat with the first ability, with the static. Very cool. So Evolving Wilds, Korgan Sprawl, means every other Korgan Sprawl is going to be recycled. And we finally see the forest. This is a really cool art cycle. I mean, shout out to that artist for just making such a cool, usable, basic lands. So, okay. So Evolving Wilds, well, I'm seeing it here. So, apparently it's showing up as blank, but I believe it is still in the format. It's still legal. All right. Yeah, that's fair. Sometimes you can leave the legal stuff, or sometimes, you don't want to accidentally include cards that you shouldn't be using. So, but it's nice to be able to use renders of cards that have had previous printings if you really like that art, for example, right? I'm just gonna turn on my fan at lowest. It's getting a little warm, and hopefully that's not too much noise, but Good news. Supposedly tomorrow is going to be nice and cool, and if that's the case, I'm going to be doing a lot more content. If it's ends up being still grilled, I might not. So, all right. So, Invasion of Privacy coming out here. Um, let's see what gets hit. So it can be any non-land card. It's going to be exiled, not just discarded, exiled. But then both players get to draw a card, but they will lose a life. So flavor text is quite neat. Everything is curated just for you, but at what cost? Yeah, very cool. Going for the Omen of Deception. Both players redraw. We drew into Beauclair's Scorn and another copy of Possibility Heights. Really loving the art on this cycle. Very cool stuff. It's funny to see, as I said, all this like sort of like high tech, modern, and then you've got like suddenly Unhallowed Voyage, right? Like a ship sailing into a grave. All right, players have lost their lives. That sounds really much more ominous than just the one damage that it is. Phoenix Star is going to crack the Evolving Wilds at the end step. I've seen players miss that. That always feels very sad when that happens. Running out the island. You're going to run out a tapped 100-handed Pillars. And just going to play Demographer. So 0-2 when it enters, you draw a card, discard a card, and if you discard a non-land card, you get to make a pledge. So you're going to choose to pitch the island. All right, so not making a pledge here, just... Hold up. Did I... Yeah, okay, there we go. Phoenix caught it as well. It has to discard a non-land card, so... Yeah, I'll just... All right, everyone's on the same page. I like this Omen cycle. I like little cards like these. It's flash enchantments that have a little bit of a sticky thing. I'm a big fan of these little ones. Very cool, very fun. I love the art on Omen of Deception, especially. All right, so what do you got going on in the hands here? We have Black Tie, we have Disc Flipper, we have Dante's Inferno. That's the combo. But once again, Beauclair's Scorn is here. Gonna make it a little harder to resolve that. Omen of Slaughter was gonna make someone sacrifice a creature. Thovius can make people sacrifice. It's gonna be double Beauclair's Scorn. It's gonna make it pretty hard to land the three cards, because at any point they can be disrupted. The one thing you gotta be worried about is Dante's Inferno in the yard. Yeah, it's an activated ability. It's not like a cast or anything. So if that's there, that'll be an issue. But yeah, if Beauclair manages to hit a Black Tie Gala, that's gonna be a little scary. Slaughter can hit enchantments. That's good. This only hits creatures. So I mean, we're at like a shields down moment. Maybe it's correct to drop the Black Tie Gala if you're worried about Beauclair's Scorn. Because Beauclair's Scorn can't counter creatures, so it's kind of like an odd which one do you do. But because you only got one piece of each, it's kind of hard to know which one to sequence first. All right. Korgan Sprawl, going to play out the Eidolon of Empty Thoughts. If you remember, that's the 1/1 that when it dies, you create a treasure token. And it's got the big devotion, sort of like invoker ability on it. It's not the only Eidolon that has these big abilities. Canon Theros sets have had them as well, so it's nice to see that through line continuing here. I believe the name of the set itself is Theros. Yeah, it's Age of Tracks. Yeah, so we've got Theros sets in MSCM and in here, and I believe the designers worked a little bit together to make like different stories. So it's really cool that there's like I think there's even 3 of them. I think there's another Theros set also being worked on. So yeah, we have designers who love making sets inspired or continuing off of canon sets and putting their own spin on things, and a lot of them are just absolutely fantastic. So all right, so planes coming out, we're up to 4. So Eidolon is here, and it's nice in the sense that it's been played out earlier, because it's going to make that Omen of Slaughter a lot worse. Because now you can't guarantee to hit Disc Flipper. Omen of Deception can hit Disc Flipper. So there's lots of little pieces. You got to use the removal correctly. Of course, Thovius could answer the sack, but it is at the beginning of target opponent's next end step, so something to keep in mind. All right. Okay, so Thovius came out, +1, beginning of your next upkeep, draw a card. So that's going to be the full one. And then I'm going to pass it back. Now the question is... No, I think that should be it. I don't think there's anything activatable here. Possibility heights here is tapped, so can't cycle that one. The fact that they enter tapped it the first time is obviously not great for a combo that wants to kind of try and get it through fast, but like if you're okay, you know, getting it slow, that's neat. Lots of possibilities here. All right. What do we got? I'm trying to think. The shields are down, but you don't have the mana for obviously both at the same time. So Black Tie Gala, even casting it, you would have 1, you could tap this to make a treasure. That would be 2, and 2 would not be enough to get to Disc Flipper. And anyway, you would need Disc Flipper first. So, and there's currently no white source, so you do need the treasure. Tough spot. But the shields are down right now. And there's nothing in the hand here that can actually deal with a resolved Black Tie Gala. So, at least not so far as I can see. So, and Black Tie Gala will mean you can start getting treasures and casting your other stuff. So, all right. So, Black Tie Gala comes in. Eidolon can now tap for treasures. We're going to play one of the possibility heights. It's going to enter tapped. All right. Eidolon would be able to tap for a treasure at end step, I believe now. Oh, well, hey. Itchery Procession, prismatic white and black. The spell can't be countered and it destroys a non-land permanent. We found an answer to Black Tie Gala, so that changes things. So the bonus draw off Thovius happened here. I mean, it's going to be hard to resolve that Disc Flipper. You do have the mana now, though, right? Because that would be a treasure, and then you'd have enough to pay the 2 for Omen. But there is an Itchery, so, you know, a lot of little things to consider. So, Thovius +1, passing the turn. Empty is going to make a treasure, and that's going to allow you to cast the Disc Flipper on the next turn. But safe from Omen of Slaughter, not safe from Procession. But if you... Oh, okay, well, we drew into a second Disc Flipper, actually. That makes a big difference here. Okay, we're going for Unhallowed Voyage. There might be a line in the deck that I'm not seeing, because it's a tutor chain, so... Running out Unhallowed Voyage. Let's see what gets picked up. I mean, we'll see it. Okay, so it resolves. We're going to start looking at the library. So let's see. You know, a Disc Flipper. What do we get? Crown Guard Band. Oh, okay. Interesting. Well, that's going to be hard to resolve this turn because if you cast it, you know, the Beauclair Scorns or the Omen of Deception can deal with it. I'm assuming it's going to be cast, but you don't have to name until it resolves. And I believe this is the kind of card you might want to answer just in case. So that's going to be an Omen of Deception. So very interesting. If that was an enchantment, if I was going to draw a card, we're going to also draw a card from Thovius at the upkeep. So the grip is going to have lots of answers. We drew a second Omen of Slaughter, which is nice. There you go. A lot of tools working your way. Eidolon can still tap for a treasure, but we're mostly tapped out here on the board, so I don't think we're going to see anything else from a Filthy Casual side. For this turn, you probably want to keep the Eidolon able to tap for the treasure when you need it most. So maybe thinking about some things. I don't think a land was played yet. Taps. Okay, so plays a tap land. At end step, we got Omen of Slaughter that gets cast. All right, gonna draw another card off of Farah. I'm gonna make the treasure off of Eidolon before it dies. Then you get another treasure, and I like how it's two different arts because, you know, two different sources. Reminder pops full of cards. What are we at now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to be able to hold on to everything. And we drew into a Feast of Whispered Knives, which is going to be pretty good. Thovia is just working as a slow but steady drip of card advantage here. I mean, eventually you're just going to, you know, you're swamped with lands. So, well, not swamped, but like swamped with cards, I mean. Omens are still on the field if you need to sacrifice them for things, and they're contributing. How are we on devotion? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think we're missing 1 for Afara to be online, but I mean, do we have nothing that can turn her on right here? No, that's not true. Sorry, Demographer is here. That could be interesting to do. Start chipping in. Okay, so we're just going to go with the procession here. I'm going to say, hey, let's get rid of the Black Tie Gala. I'd rather that not stick around. That's how I'm going to lose anyway. Could always draw into one, so I definitely don't believe that this is a concede moment. Passing the turn. All right. Going to leave up 2. I guess 2 for Demographer? Trying to think about whether it might have just, yeah, I mean, I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That would have been 7, right? You could have already started chipping in with 4 if you wanted to, but I guess you want to pretend to. You can also be pretending to leave up Omens of Deception. That's like totally fair. We drew into a fundraiser. That's going to make a tap treasure token when it enters, and then you pledge. I'm going to imagine we're going to be seeing the incorporated clique enchantment. What do we got over here? Yeah, I mean, nothing can be cast out of the hand here unless I'm severely forgetting something. And if that's the case, do we have enough for the devotion here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That still costs 2, so you're not animating it. You can start animating it next turn, though. I mean, you've got Afara. I mean, yeah, you wouldn't have had enough to do both, but the clock's going to start ticking pretty fast here. All right, so we instead went with Hazak Arsenal, which is the one that makes 2/2 colorless minions with Decayed. Looking for bodies if you're not able to pull off the combo. So, you know, thinking maybe treasures aren't going to win. I need to start chipping in with these minions. You can always pay 4 to do it, but it's obviously, you know, cheaper to just use one of your cards that do the pledge. So, all right. Few moments here thinking. There's always, you know, Dante's Inferno, but it feels a little incorrect to throw it out here. Filthy doesn't know what's left, I believe, in the hand. So, you know, thinking could be an Omen, could be something. All right, I'm going to use Hazak Arsenal to create one of the colorless minion tokens we had been looking at. It's such a like silly nitpick, but like, wouldn't it be cool if you could go into the art and just like clean up the UAD and make it I don't know, HZA or something? Super tempted to do that, but like, who's got time for that? Um, all right, so we're moving to the end. I'm gonna activate Demographer. I'm gonna pull out Hazak Arsenal of their own. I mean, I can't see that one, but I mean, it's because it's Hazak Arsenal CNY rather than, so something to keep in mind. What do we got here? Okay, illustrious Shengfa here. That's a big one. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You would have the mana for it, but I think we're gonna see the feasts come out. Yep. Each one of them, the fact that you draw does mean that they're already going to trigger, so they're going to start putting in a lot of work. The -2s can clear up the board. The 2/1 rogues are going to start chipping in, and then, I mean, it feels almost correct to just go with the rogues at one point rather than just draining for 2. But yeah. So there's the second feast. If I was just going to draw you another card here, 2 mana left. Both of those feasts are going to trigger. What are we at here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, it would be kind of scary if you left these alone. You don't have. I mean, you drew Omen of Deception. If you didn't have Omen of Deception, it could have been a little riskier. Gonna be a lot of creatures on the board soon if things go Phoenix Star's way. Yeah, so if it's CNY, it doesn't quite work. So yeah, like I said, the -2/-2 mode makes the most sense. You're gonna get rid of the minion, gonna get rid of the fundraiser. I almost wonder if it's not a Netrunner art. I think I would have noticed if it was a. It feels Netrunner-ish, but I'm not sure it actually is from a Netrunner card. So the art just looks slightly familiar. Drew a Studio. We're running a little bit on empty here on Filthy side. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana to play with, but that's what, 2/2/2s. They don't have haste. That feels like you're throwing a lot of your resources into this. Disc Slippers are cool, but without the utility of what Black Tie Gala does, it's hard to land multiple artifacts. Oh, Phoenix lost connection temporarily. That happens sometimes. We're just gonna wait a little bit until they come back. Didn't take long at all. No problems there. Oh, hey, in the meantime, they announced the next Grand Prix. I almost accidentally spoiled the name of it earlier by accident when I was sharing a render. So it's I'm gonna have to hope that it's pronounced Estrathi or Estraith. Somebody will definitely correct me in the comments, right? You guys would do that. It's going to be, I believe, just a regular Grand Prix, so constructed. There's going to be some really cool promos up for grab if you perform well in the GPs. Same with MSCM. So if you're the kind of person who likes a slightly smaller format, you like the power level of standard, Revolution is definitely the format for you. If you want to play in a more modern setting with a non-rotating format, slightly higher power level, bigger suite of cards, MSCM is there as well. And honestly, nothing stops you from playing in both, one or the other, neither. We've also got drafts every Saturday. There's just so much that you could be doing when it comes to custom Magic online these days. So we're really like in a sort of like golden age. I remember like 7 years ago, we were like pulling in 8 people, 12 people at most. And now we've got like 30 something to 20 something players in both formats, just having an absolute blast with sets that they've designed. I'm really happy to be a part of this community, which is why I'm really happy to throw some videos towards Revolution. So it gives me a lot of pleasure to do that. All right, so activating Demographer. Draws a card, discards Demographer, I believe, right? Yep. And that should trigger Hazak Arsenal. There we go. Interesting. I don't. Was it? Maybe it was being tested differently. I don't know why are all of Phoenix Star's tokens not using the correct ones, but kind of a weird. Maybe it's the. I don't know. Very interesting. It could be that the token scripts are just a little bit different on Eternal. But there's the colorless minion. All right. So there's been a lot of stalling out here. I'm wondering when the big stuff is gonna kick in. All right. Draw a reminder. Thovia slowly ticking back up. Was a minus? I don't know. It just got dealt damage. I was like, I don't remember it activating anything big. But didn't want to get to the -8 for 2 extra turns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Are we still not at the seventh? Unless we're playing around something that I'm not in the know, it feels correct to run out. It would have felt correct to run out the Demographer just to get the Devotion to 7, because then you can start chipping in for 8, and you've got the game in like 2 attacks, right? 8, 16, you've got the 2 rogues. I don't know. It's an indestructible 4/4. Like, there's Black Tie, there's Disc Flippers, but does it really matter? I mean, you've got 3 Beauclair Scorn in hand, right? And remember last time when Beauclair Scorn was cast on the Black Tie Gala, that just forced a concession. So, going to be interesting for the players to give their feedback. If either Phoenix, Filthy, you end up watching this video, don't be afraid to leave the comments. Maybe I've not noticed something. Maybe you haven't noticed something. I kind of have like the bird's eye view. The two of you are like in the middle of play. There's a lot of things to keep in mind. So sometimes maybe we tunnel vision. So, all right. So Unhallowed Voyage being cast from the graveyard, I believe. It's going to get any card in their deck that they want. Phoenix having a little bit of connection issues here, just kind of flickering a little bit there. Well, they're back, so, you know. All right, still thinking about what card to get with Unhallowed Voyage. Found a Crown Guard ban. So I'm feeling like we've seen this before. But we're at what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, you can get rid of Crown Guard ban and whatever else is going to be cast. So, and yep. All right, so 1, 2. Crown Guard ban. I'm assuming that's going to be another no thank you here. You can't let those Beauclair scoring get caught in your hand, I think. There's really no point not to go for it. Wonder if Beauclair is like a character in the set. Let's while that starts doing, I'm just gonna take a quick second. Ah, there it is. The Beauclair family. Noemi Beauclair and then Beauclair Scorn. So they are referenced on multiple cards. Very neat. All right, we get to see the deck list. This is like the only time we can actually see what's in the deck, which is always kind of funny. What have we not seen? We haven't seen Cabinet Recruiter, which is a 2/1 with approval. When it enters, you search your library for a creature card with mana value less than or equal to the number of colors among permanents you control. Reveal it, put into your hand. Neat. We didn't see Omen of the Storms. It's a discard a card, draw 2, flash enchantment, and then it has the Omens Sack and Scry. We've seen all of Invasion of Privacy. We've seen a Deadly Dispute, I believe, in hand at the end of last round. We haven't seen Open Air Boardwalk, which is one of the tap lands that has the Make a Pledge. There's also Group Think Tank. So kind of fixing everything here. Very interesting. A lot of fixing, which is normal, obviously. So no longer have to worry about Crown Guard bans. I'm going to activate Demographer, draw a card, then discard a card. Pitches Evolving Wild, so does not trigger Hazak Arsenal. All right. Playing a tapped Gate to the Underworld, another Devotion land here. Draw Reminder pops. I believe I'm going to create another one. I mean, Illustrious Shengfa is just expensive. The issue is if you're playing the 6, you don't have the mana open for Beauclair's Scorn, and you can't let these two resolve. So I do get that. Darn, just feels like a long time ago we could have had the Demographer, one more on field. These aren't legendary, right? Yeah. All right, so chipping in for damage, making more rogues. I mean, this will eventually do the job. We're at 8 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's double Beauclair. I mean, yeah, you don't quite have enough to do the 1 mana 100-handed pillar activation, but I feel like the fact that it has vigilance means that you don't even have to worry about it, right? Because right now you have to pay 2, so you pay 2 with, I don't know, the swamp and like these two. And then you attack, you got 4 extra damage here, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, you don't have the 6, so. Okay, if it's really about keeping the double Beauclair Scorn, I get it. Though, obviously, we know that Scorn's not going to deal, so it's the Omen of Slaughter that we need. And that one costs 2. Omen costs 2 as well. Anyway, this Phoenix is doing a wonderful job. Like, they're keeping the game absolutely locked up right now. Disc Flipper is cast. You're not going to hit it with an Omen of Deception, but you let it resolve, and then as soon as someone attempts to, I guess, cast Black Tie Gala, the thing is, this doesn't have haste, so neither will the Hazak Arsenal, so you're not actually super worried about it this turn, so. And is this it? Black Tie and then Beauclair Scorn, and that's all it took? Let's see. All right, there's the GG. Okay, well, we knew it happened last time. Just getting rid of the Black Tie kind of just neuters the deck. But, all right, long one, but a good one. It was nice getting a chance to see some of the removal in the cards that are in the format. So we'll upload this video momentarily, and we'll post it over in Revolution Media. Obviously, if you're watching it, you've already seen it. So have a good one. Thanks for following along. And if you like this Revolution content and you would like to see more, you know the drill. Give it a thumbs up, give me a comment, or let me know on Discord that, yes, you want to see more Revolution content, and you don't mind that it's someone learning the format alongside all of our new viewers. So on that note, have a good one, and take care.